Hello. I figured that I would review this movie as well, since I've already reviewed two other serial killer movies on this channel that kind of have had an unusual casting decision. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying it was unusual. This movie did as well. So I'm of course gonna be reviewing the movie My Friend Dahmer, which came out in 2017, and it hold on, stars Ross Lynch as Jeffrey Dahmer and Alex Wolff as John Bactor, and it was directed by Mark Myers. John Bactor was an acquaintance of Dahmer when he was in high school, and he actually wrote a book called My Friend Dahmer, which is kind of in a graphic novel form, detailing, you know, Dahmer's crimes, I guess, before he started killing. What, not his crimes, but I guess his unusual behavior before he became a serial killer. And basically, that's what this movie is based off of, which I haven't read that. I know enough about Dahmer because I've seen documentaries and read books about him and stuff, but so I don't know what is accurate and what isn't. But another thing is that I'm going off of memory with this movie. I've seen it like at the end of last year, I think. It I pretty much remember. I pretty much remember it because it's Dahmer's early years before he started killing. So there's not much really to like to like think about or spoil, and it's just stuff that if you know anything about Dahmer, it's just regurgitated stuff. So like I said, this movie is about Dahmer as a teenager before he started killing, and it's basically told from his classmates' point of view. And he Dahmer displayed a lot of weird and unusual behavior, like he was a loner, which I mean that's not unusual. I mean that's not like creepy or anything. There's a lot of people who are loners. I'm a loner, so he was like a loner. He didn't really associate that much with people, but he did other weird things, like he would collect like animal carcasses. Like his dad was a chemist, a biochemist, and he would let him use like the his like I'm trying to figure out his chemicals. Yeah, the chemicals. So, and Dahmer would like, pour them on dead animals and watch the skin dissolve and like have fascination with animal bones. And he did like a lot of sick stuff, like with dead animals, like pose them on sticks and all that kind of stuff. And they do show that in the movie. This doesn't show his crimes. Like I said, it's before he started killing. But it does lead up to the end of the movie where he meets his first victim, which was Stephen Hicks. Because Dahmer, I think, first killed, like, not right after, but a little bit after he graduated high school. The movie there's not much to say about it, but Alex Ross, he was kind of an unusual casting decision because he's one of those Disney stars. So he was, I think, on a show called Austin Alley, which I never watched. I think I've seen like a few episodes, but it was kind of like with Zac Efron because he was a Disney star. Playing Ted Bundy, it was just unusual. So, but I think he did a great job. I mean, he didn't really have to do much because it's, like I said again, it's Dahmer before he became a serial killer. But it shows like his very creepy behavior. Like he's a voyeur. Like he goes jogging and he likes looking at this one male jogger, and he like stalks him and stuff. And like I said, he has obsession with animals, like, or with dead animals, and like dissecting them and all that kind of stuff. And there's a scene where he pulls, like, he's going fishing with a group of friends, or he's trying to be friends with them, and he pulls out a a fish, and they're telling him, no, you just throw the fish back in the water, that's what you do. He takes out a knife and guts it open. And, like, it just disturbs him because, like, how he, he was, like, very aggressive about how he did it. And it's, like, just a bunch of weird stuff. And, like, just tiny little hints that here and there. It kind of goes into, like, his parents, how his parents were. Now, his dad, I see interviews with him and his dad. His dad seemed like a very loving kind of man, because Dahmer came from, like, kind of that background. He didn't grow up in an abusive household, but for some reason he turned out to be a serial killer. But, like, the only major thing that they recorded that happened to him was that his parents went through a divorce when he was a teenager, and they think that's probably what affected it. But his dad was like a very loving, caring kind of person. I think he's still alive. And he seems like that in interviews. But his dad has always been regretful about, like, how he turned out. And, Jeffrey was like, that's not your fault, that's how I was wired. It does show his mom a little bit, and his mom has been described as being a little bit. They said she had a mental illness, but they're not sure what it was. She would just have, like, freakouts and stuff like that. And it shows, like, a scene in the movie where they're eating dinner together. It's Jeffrey, his dad, and Jeffrey's younger brother. And she didn't cook the chicken all the way. And, they go, well, we can't eat this, we're gonna get sick. And then she goes, you're gonna eat this, I don't care if, it's white or dark bean, something like that. I forgot what exactly the line was. But she just seemed very neglectful and kind of verbally abusive. But that's all they really show with his parents. Now, Alex Wolff, he is the acquaintance of Jeffrey Dahmer's. And, Alex Wolff was he played the teenage son in Hereditary, which I thought he was really great in that. And he kind of comes off like a dick in the movie, I'm not gonna lie. Because Jeffrey is, like, very odd and eccentric in school. Like, he'll do, like, these fake seizure freak out things. So they kind of recruit him as, like, a prank kind of thing, like, because they want to go around school doing pranks. So he starts doing stuff like, start making Jeffrey do stuff like take pictures, like hop in the class pictures that he's not a part of, and just doing a bunch of weird stuff, like, like the freak out and the weird noises. And then there's a scene where they go to a mall, and they make Jeffrey do, like, the freak out thing. He does it, but he recognizes that they're just using him as a prop. They don't really want to be his friend. Yeah, so it was kind of interesting. And it shows, like, Jeffrey's alcoholism, like when he starts getting alcohol, and his version of homosexuality. And I liked how they showed that they were separating that his homosexuality and his sadistic urges were separated. And I think they handled that pretty well, because some people have this misconception that, because he was gay, that's why he did the stuff he did. Because, back in the 70s, being gay was not a very acceptable thing at that moment. And I thought they handled it pretty well in this, to show that, his, homosexuality is different than from his sadistic desires. And there's just like some really other creepy scenes I forgot to mention. There's like a scene where they go on a trip to Washington D.C. and Jeffrey has to stay in a room with he stays in a room with a black classmate. You know, most of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims were either Asian or black, and I think maybe Hispanic, but I know they're mainly Asian and black. And he says something to the guy like, "Do you ever wonder what's inside of people? Like, do you ever wanna?" And the guy thinks he's like being metaphorical, and he goes, "No, like, do you ever like want to cut them open and look or something?" Like, it was something like weird like that. And I was like, it's just like looking at it, it's like, this guy has some serious issues. It's like, yeah, it's not a great movie. I liked it for what it was. It just showed, Dahmer's creepy behavior before he became a serial killer. And it's kind of like, in hindsight, you're kind of like saying like, oh, why did no one pick this up? And Jeffrey was like, had a breakdown in one scene. He's crying, saying that he's lonely, he doesn't have friends, and this and that. And that was like a major reason for why he started killing people, because he actually didn't mean to kill his victims. He wanted to create zombies so he could keep them as like a friend, to have a companion. And it's kind of weird because like, there's a lot of people like that, they're lonely and stuff like that, but they don't go out and kill people or try to control them. And so, but it makes you wonder, like, is some of these signs, like, if some of these people that knew Jeffrey and stuff saw these signs, like, they could have stopped it, and, prevented this. But, it's kind of a sad movie at the end of the day because, because they didn't recognize it and they didn't try to stop it, or prevent it, I guess, and he went on to become a serial killer. But like I said, it's a decent movie. Like, I liked Ross Lynch's performance. I mean, I haven't really seen him in that much, but it's mainly because Dahmer was known as being like mopey and kind of depressive and stuff. So, but that's how like all its acting is really like. Alex Wolff did a great job, even though he was kind of like an asshole-ish character. But later on, he starts recognizing that Dahmer is actually sick, and yeah, like I said, I would highly recommend it. But like I said, it's not about, it's before he starts killing. It's not like during his serial killing years. But anyways, that's my review.